For years, no one knew why dozens of battered wooden ghost ships, often along with corpses of North Korean fishermen whose starved bodies were reduced to skeletons, were routinely washing ashore along the coast of Japan. And there's been, I think, up at this point, dozens, if not hundreds, of these vehicles or boats. So a recent investigation based on new satellite data has revealed what marine researchers now say is the most likely explanation for these. China is sending a previously invisible armada of industrial boats to illegally fish in North Korean waters, forcing out smaller North Korean boats and leading to a steep decline in once abundant squid stocks of more than 70%. The North Korean fishermen washing up in Japan apparently ventured too far from shore in a vain search for squid and subsequently sadly perished. The Chinese vessels, more than 700 of them last year, appeared to be in violation of UN sanctions that prohibit foreign fishing in North Korean waters. The sanctions imposed in 2017 in response to the country's nuclear tests were aimed at punishing North Korea by not allowing it to sell fishing rights in its waters in exchange for valuable foreign currency. The new revelations cast light on the lack of governance of the world's oceans and raise questions about the consequences of China's expanding role at sea and how it is connected to the nation's geopolitical aspirations. Estimates of the total size of China's global fishing fleet vary wildly. By some calculations, China has anywhere from 200,000 to 800,000 fishing boats, accounting for nearly half of the world's fishing activity. The Chinese government says its distant water fishing fleet numbers only 2,600, but other research, such as a study by the Overseas Development Institute, puts this number closer to 17,000, with many of these ships being invisible, like those that satellite data discovered in North Korean waters. By comparison, the U.S.'s distant water fishing fleet has fewer than 300 vessels. Wow. China is not only the world's biggest seafood exporter, the country's population also accounts for more than a third of all fish consumption worldwide. Having depleted the seas close to its home, the Chinese fishing fleet has been sailing farther afield in recent years to exploit the waters of other countries, including those in West Africa and Latin America, where enforcement tends to be weaker as local governments lack the resources or inclinations to police their waters. Most Chinese distant water ships are so large that they scoop up as many fish in 1 week as local boats from Senegal or Mexico might catch in a year. Many of these ships combing Latin American waters target forage fish, which are ground into fish meal, a protein-rich pelletized supplement fed to aquaculture fish. The Chinese fleet has also focused on shrimp, and there's also a large appetite in China for the endangered Totoba fish, which are much prized in Asia for the alleged medicinal properties of their bladders, which can sell for between $1,400 US and $4,000 US each. Nowhere at sea is China more dominant than in squid fishing, as the country's fleets account for 50 to 70% of the squid caught in international waters, effectively controlling the global supply of popular seafood. At least half of the squid landed by Chinese fishermen are pulled from the high seas is exported to Europe, North Asia, and the U.S. To catch the squid, the Chinese typically use trawling nets stretched between two vessels, a practice widely criticized by conservationists because it results in a lot of fish inadvertently and wastefully killed. Critics also accuse China of keeping high-quality squid for domestic consumption and exporting lower-quality products at higher prices. In addition, China overwhelms vessels from other countries and major squid breeding grounds and is in a position to influence international negotiations about conservation and distribution of global squid resources for its own interests. So I want to do one more video on North Korean ghost ships, but I need to go farther back in time before they knew about this. Have a good night.